This is Kingdom Leadership. I am Dr. Timi Akimbo. I have been sharing with you about problem-solving skill. And I want to add some things I discovered in my recent studies. After reading Exodus chapter 32, verses 1 through to 35, in my own opinion, it delivers a wealth of information about problem solving, and I think it deserves careful study. As I read the passage of the scripture this morning, I saw two most important summary principles for problem solving from a great leader who solved significant problems, the person of Moses. In this passage of scripture, Aaron encountered a considerable problem, as we read in verse 1, but he pushed to resolve that problem, which we could see in verses 2 and 4, or verses 2, 3 to 4. However, when he recognized that his solution was creating a more profound problem, as we saw in verse 5, he acted again. Okay? But this time, his action only caused the situation to sway out of control. From verses 9 through 19, then 25. Moses inherited the problem after spiraling into a catastrophe, but he did solve it. This concise study, in contrast, uncovers some essential principles about how a godly leader approaches a problem. Aaron endeavored to solve the wrong problem while Moses tackled the right one. Aaron attacked the operational problem. Moses confronted the character problem. Aaron concentrated on the activity, while Moses on the morality that was driving the action. We see this in verses 21 and 30. The specifics of this passage of scripture generate a plethora of illumination about problem solving. And as I said before, it ought to have thorough study. As I step back from the situation, I see two summary principles. The first principle is that enduring solutions come from addressing the why questions, which is the character question, instead of the how questions. The second principle is that great leaders achieve greatness because they solve extraordinary problems. However, less significant leaders limit their strength to tackling less critical problems. There are volumes of articles and books that have been written on problem-solving techniques, but the Bible is not one of those volumes of books and articles. What the Bible does, however, is to demonstrate to us that the most destructive problems are not solved by modifying behavior. That is why we have immoralities everywhere, people practicing sodomy boldly in every sector of our society. Injustice reign over justices. Political correctness rule over the truth, and so on. It is evident that our world lacks good shepherds, The problems that most need to be resolved in our world today can only be solved by a change of character, a change of morality, a change of heart. Therefore, the wisest leader will help their constituents to apply God's grace and power to solve the fundamental human problems of sin. Sin. If we observe Moses very well, in verses 30 through to 32, he addressed the issue of sin, which is the bottom line, is the foundational problems of human. Now, we have seen how one of history's most outstanding leaders defined and solved problems. I will encourage us to begin where Moses did. As Christians, if we are going to be exceptional leaders like Moses, we must take a stand for Christ in every dimension of life and share the gospel wherever possible. And with that, I will round up with this true story of General Hans von Santen. Frederick the Great, King of Prussia between 1740 and 1786, was known as the enlightened dictator, yet he was a confirmed atheist. He strengthened the Prussian economy by promoting industry and agriculture and conducted 3 wars during his reign. One of his most loyal and capable generals was Hans von Santen. Slight in stature, feeble in voice, with a brilliant military mind and fearless in battle, von Santen held the respect of Frederick the Great. Once, Frederick invited von Santen and others to dine with him. Von Santen declined the invitation so that he could attend church. Later, at another banquet, the king and his guests mocked the general for his Christian beliefs. Von Santen rose, placed conviction over safety, and with respect addressed Frederick. "My lord, there is a greater king than you, a king to whom I have sworn allegiance even unto death. I am a Christian man, and I cannot sit quietly as the Lord's name is dishonored and his character belittled." That was what von Santen said to the king. Everyone was silent. They expected Frederick's temper to erupt. Would von Santen be imprisoned or executed? But Frederick grabbed the hand of his courageous general, asked for his forgiveness, and requested that he remain at the dinner. The king promised he will never again belittle Christianity. You know, it is time for us to take a stand for Jesus Christ. As Christians, as believers, it is time. There is no shame in this. Christ hung on the cross for you and me. Now, you can stand on your convictions and tell others the good news of salvation as a leader. Today, I pray that the Lord will give you the grace and the courage. So today you need to thank Christ for your salvation and ask him to give you the courage to share the gospel. And I believe he will give you. He will give you every courage, everything you need in order for you to stand boldly and share the gospel and stand for Jesus Christ, like Von Sente has done. Thank you.